Okay, this video we're going to complete the final steps of our gel unguator. That will be some detail on operating the gel and the sprocket here, adding our base and our active to the container, and installing it onto the unguator. So we've got all of our pre-packaged. I really recommend just 500 ml jars for our unguator size. This allows us to do 480 gram batches of gels like ABH or lorazepam or ABHR, promethazine. And so you'll remove it from your sealed container. There's some instructions in English and in German for how to handle the sprocket. But so our first step in the process, we've got our base weighed out. We've got our active in a liquid form here. Our first step is to prep the jar. So we have it open here, and we'll go ahead and we'll see that the base is flush with the top of the jar. So pulling that back allows that base to pull back, and then we'll want to set our sprocket aside. Completing a clockwise turn loosens that up. If I want to engage that again, I'll turn counterclockwise, and you'll feel it tighten a little bit. You don't want to continue and spin till the spindle breaks through the bottom of the base, because then that could cause some leakage there. But if I continued to spin counterclockwise, that spindle would protrude through there. But okay, so in starting, we'll pull this back and clockwise to remove the spindle, and we'll just set that aside. So at this point, our jar is ready to take on our base and our active. And to avoid the active just getting stuck to the bottom of the container, I like to have a landing, about 20% of that base as a landing area for the active. So what we'll do is have a couple scoops of the base onto there, so about 20% is sitting at the bottom of our jar, and then I'll scrape our active into that, and finally the remaining base. And if we're doing a 480 gram lot, these 500 ml jars will be filled, right to about here, which is ideal. We don't need to adjust the floor of this jar to eliminate air. It brings it right up to the top of the jar. We got 180-day BUD. We should be set for any gel that's made and requested with reasonable frequency. So we've got the tip cap. We'll take that off to install our stir bar. And this is the 80 millimeter blade, 210 length stir bar. So this is the only one that fits the 500 ml jar, and really that's the only one we're using here in Chicago, because we want to make just infrequent large batches of these gels. Again, 480 grams has been an ideal batch size. So we will put the rod through there, have it flush to the lid, and add the lid, tighten that, reasonable strength or moderate pressure to secure that. And then we'll push the rod through our mixture of base and active till it's at the bottom, and this will allow us to insert it onto our unguator. The unguator defaults in the up arrow, and that is called the auto stir process, I believe. If we wanted to change that to a small container, we would adjust it to this bottom arrow here for our manual adjustment. Again, we're not making small batches with this unguator. This would be a small jar that we manually move up and down. Not ideal. We're really only running in this automatic setting here, where we'll use this silver platform here and push our rod through it. And our, let's see here, adjust our camera. Great. So we've got our entire lot in here. Stir rod is pushed all the way to the bottom. We shouldn't be having any gel come up from there, and a 480 gram lot's not going to have that. So I'm inserting the rod into the unguator assembly here. And first I'm going to spin, let's see, this would be, I want to lock the rod into the unguator assembly. And at this point, we've got the lid secure. We can pull it back like this for a little bit of ease. And performing a clockwise, like an 1/8 of a turn, or maybe even like a 1/16 of a turn, allows that rod to be locked into the unguator assembly. Let me make sure we're still. So again, softly push it up until you're into the brains of the unguator, and a 1/16 turn clockwise will allow that to freely hang there. And we know, all right, our stir rod is engaged to the unguator assembly. Pushing up through so the rod and blade is closer to the bottom. We will then secure the jar to this silver disc here, and this is a counterclockwise spin. And stirring from the bottom of the jar helps secure that. Again, moderate pressure. At this point, especially if you were adding the anhydrous gel to the jar, you may have some of the residue on your gloves. So prior to this setup, you may want to change gloves to a fresh set so you're not slipping on the jar and the rod, getting that all set up. So I'm going to do that one more time with a different angle. So I'll kind of reverse my steps here by clockwise spin for the jar. I hold on to the base of the jar so I'm not unscrewing the lid. So we're disconnected there, almost, and great. So from this angle, we'll just repeat the whole setup here. So I'm going to start again with our rod placement, and that'll be a clockwise turn, really like a 1/16 turn, and that's locked in there. Move our jar up, and here you can see the white, this portion, you'll know it's secure when it's visible past that silver disc. And I'm going to spin this. I unlocked the stir rod, so now that's secure, and kind of need two hands here one moment.